My world was once a flourishing place, and my people were the greatest in the universe. We were part of well, let's not kid ourselves, a mediocre franchise within the Marvel Universe. But this film was going to change all that, until some puny humans decided to make a movie about the exodus of an entire planet, imprisonment and forceful fighting, and Odin's dark past. A comedy.
At least it was better than Guardians 2.
Man, shut the hell up.
Welcome to another episode of Mic Check, where it seems that the Marvel Cinematic Universe continues to slowly crumble.
Even with two of the best superhero movies in a while having also come out this year, 93% of the Rotten Tomatoes clearly shows that no one is recognizing the mediocrity of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
And that brings us to Thor Ragnarok, the highly anticipated Thor sequel that was set to ensure us that Thor 3 would not disappoint in the way the previous Thor films did.
Now, we don't know how true this is, but there are reports that Taika Waititi, the director of the film, said that 80% of the film was improvised.
Well, it showed. Before we even go into specifics, let's tackle the biggest problem with the film. It had too many elements and seemed to go nowhere.
We started off with one plot, and then we're dropped into an entirely different movie.
Without spoiling much, here's the overall setup. Odin's secret firstborn daughter, Hela, played by Cate Blanchett, returns to wreak havoc on the universe and return to the old days when she and Odin conquered and destroyed every known planet in the galaxy.
Meanwhile, she sends Thor and Loki, and now they're stranded on a trash planet where Thor has to unwillingly compete in arena battles in order to win his freedom.
Now, before we even go any further, let me detail to you one of the things I really hate when a sequel does. Introducing elements of the franchise and acting like they've always been there.
Similar to Despicable Me 3, Hela and her entire backstory are created for the film alone and have no other bearing in past or, as far as we know, for future MCU films.
As a result, most of Hela's dialogue is spoken to this discount henchman just so the audience knows what the heck she's talking about.
In addition, the reason she comes back is because Odin has finally died. How?
Because when Loki assumed his identity, he stranded Odin in Norway, because now Marvel decides to be culturally significant, and Odin just kind of vanishes, a la Yoda, and that's it.
Most of the film just has you saying this phrase so often. Okay, whatever.
Oh, Odin had some secret daughter that he banished? Okay, whatever.
Oh, Hulk is trapped on a strange planet where they're making him fight like a gladiator? Okay, whatever.
Oh, Heimdall's leading all these people to safety after he was banished in Thor 2?
Whatever.
Okay, whatever.
And trust us, Heimdall's story is the most interesting element.
But let's make one thing very clear. To anyone ever considering making a film or story of any kind, if you can take one thing away from this review, stuff happening doesn't equal a good film.
But because this film just loves to have stuff happening, let's just zoom past all that.
First up on our list of stuff happening, we have the Hulk, who has been the Hulk for 2 years. Yeah, he can talk and he hasn't been Bruce Banner up until this point in the film. Is this that important? No, I guess not, because it's undercut by humor and just played for laughs.
We also have Jeff Goldblum as a Grandmaster, the ruler of the planet that keeps outsiders prisoners to compete for his own amusement.
And apparently they drew inspiration from all of Jeff Goldblum's zero-effort performances, and they created a character with just the same amount of effort.
We also have Valkyrie, who apparently was the only survivor of a group of woman warriors who fought to keep Hela contained in, I don't know, wherever she was banished.
A thing about improvisation. Improv, by definition, is the act of executing and arranging anything without previous preparation.
That's not what you want out of a scene between two characters we haven't seen since Age of Ultron.
Gates of hell are filled with the screams of his victims.
Because with improvising, anything can happen. Anything can be said, anything can be done. But in a feature film, there has to be a point, a reason, and this film, scene after scene, offers none of it.
All it was just Chris Hemsworth and Mark Ruffalo's stand-up.
And now, before we get criticized for critiquing the humor, let us explain just why we think that this humor didn't work. There's a term that can be heavily associated with this film known as bathos. It's when a film decides to undercut serious moments with jokes.
That's not to say certain jokes in the film aren't funny, but it keeps preventing us from feeling anything.
For example, Thor is not a goofy character.
You?
That's just not him. But this film portrays him as a goof in order to throw in humor, and that's it.
There's jokes sprouting left and right with no regard as to whose mouth it's coming out of.
The reason the humor works so well in other Marvel films is because between the Guardians, or Iron Man and Thor and Loki, The reason they work is because their natural personalities put them at odds with each other, and the dialogue between them and the actions they took created the humor. It didn't have to be manufactured.
Now don't get us wrong, we did chuckle a couple of times, but there's so much of the same humor with little story that you can't really get into it.
Now, we don't want to spoil any more for people who want to go see it, and I'm a fan of the MCU. We're both fans of the MCU, so we understand. We just thought it was a big mess. Everyone else seems to be loving it, but to us, it just felt like, Oh yeah, we forgot about Heimdall. Apparently he has this Moses story where when Hela's attacking, he's like leading his flock away and like keeping them safe.
But this is only revealed in the middle of the film when nothing's really of interest happening. Idris Elba is a fascinating actor and a character. Dark Tower, he was the only highlight. But you can't just put him in and say, oh yeah, this is what he's doing, by the way.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. We really genuinely did not think this was a good movie.
No, it was disappointing. We were both excited, and Guardians 2 was kind of like a tease of what MCU can do wrong.
This was the full package.
Yes, man. I did think it was 1% above it.
For me, it's on the bottom. Rating-wise, I want to give it a red box because it's an MCU film, so you need to be able to see it. But my heart is honestly telling me, if you never saw this film and you skipped over it, I would say trash, crumble.
No, I honestly would totally agree with you. I would give it that as well, but I did give Guardians a red box, and I did say it's better than that film as well. So I would give it a red box. But honestly, you can just skip it. It adds nothing to the MCU, doesn't set up Infinity War, it doesn't set up anything, and it could just be erased. While Age of Ultron was disappointing, I did feel like it had purpose, you created new characters, and it was just a better, fun movie.
Yeah. Asgard's destruction, where Hulk is, and the fact that Thor's not there during Civil War. Literally, everything you know before the movie starts is all you need to know in terms of knowing what's going to happen in Infinity Wars.
And it is important, Asgard destroying it. I like the message of, like, it's not the planet, it's the people, but they don't really focus on anything.
Yeah, well, let's not go into that, because that's like spoiler territory. But thank you guys for watching nonetheless, and remember, before you go see a movie, check in with us first. Thanks for watching. Bye.
So now we have a cameo that moves the story, and guess who it is? Doctor Strange.
And not only that, he is in a post-credit scene in a previous film, and that post-credit scene is used in this film.
It moves Thor from one location to the other, but again, what's the point?
You know what the point is? There is none.